Hey, counselor, how you doing?
Good morning, Sean.
Good
Happy
morning.
Monday.
Happy Monday.
Do we
Yeah,
say happy COVID Monday or just happy
that
Monday?
doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. We'll just stick with happy Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess let's get right to it. A lot of things people are talking about. The first one is the washrooms at Memorial Park. So, do we know how old the people were that did it? Are they being charged? When are they going to get fixed? Three questions.
So let me unpack that a bit. Yeah. That was very disappointing, not only for the residents, but certainly for our staff. It's such a beautiful building. What I can tell you is, the vandalism that happened is not the first time that it has happened. So we've had instances in the past. These are young people. I don't think they're associated with the skate park. I'm going to say that straight up, because my experience with those who are at the skate park, the young people that are there, they're very responsible. They take ownership of that skate park, and they have always said their please and thank yous. And by and large, I see a lot of parents there too. And that's really key, is having the parents in the park. That's when they tend to, we see better behavior. The behavior in the past, and it's important to cover this, for our staff to have to go into a building and find human feces smeared all over a bathroom, the baby change table, to have things broken off the wall where they have physically been jumping on sinks and ripped them off the wall. Now, that happened back last fall, cost a little bit of money to get things fixed. But what's more bothersome and worrisome is that our staff shouldn't have to be cleaning up human excrement. It just is unacceptable and damage to the lights. So fast forward to this time. It was in the afternoon, and the police were called. There were more than 20 young people. And when I say young people, I'm going to say, anywhere between 10 and 14, 15 years of age. So you've got 20 people jammed into this building. It's not a big building. There's no masks. There's no social distancing. People were getting spat on. And again, I don't care who you are, nobody deserves that. So the police were called. Now, whatever happens when the police get there, they do not share that information with us. So police don't tell us if anybody's been charged. They don't tell us if it's an ongoing investigation. We don't know if they went to the parents' homes. Although in the past, when they have gone to parents' homes, um, parents don't think that they should take responsibility for it. They've told the police to get off my property. My son wouldn't do that. My daughter wouldn't be there, that kind of a thing. So I think the bottom line, and particularly now we're going through COVID, the building has been closed indefinitely, partly because of COVID as well. So if we're going to have people going into that building, especially, they're not keeping the 2 meters apart. We don't have two staff to be in that building to not only monitor when, distancing and wearing of masks, but also everything has to be sanitized. Every time somebody uses something, it has to be sanitized, whether it's a washroom cubicle, only letting one person in at a time. So the decision was made by staff, and I supported it, for the time being, let's close it down. And so that's where we stand with that. And I'm disappointed, and I know that the community is upset. But I will tell you, the police do not work for the city. The police are regulated under the Police Services Act, which is a provincial legislation. And so they work for their own police services board. The city pays them, and that happened back by the provincial government downloading way back in the 1990s. That's a whole other issue. So the police don't answer to city council. They don't take direction from city council. And there's a lot of privacy issues around identifying who people are, their age, and any kind of information. So I can only give general comments. I hope that unpacks it a bit.
A little bit. I guess it's not much we can do if kids are going to do that, right? Like that's unfortunate.
The
Besides,
only other thing I would say is I encourage parents, have the conversation with your young people. I don't care what age they are. If they're 10 years of age, if they're 20 years of age, and everything in between. Have the conversation about what it means to be a taxpayer, to get nice things in your community, And then who's responsible for monitoring each other's behavior? Have that conversation with them about being responsible. So many of our young people are responsible in our community, and it really bothers me that they would all be painted with this same brush, because folks, it's not true. We have a lot of really good young people in our community.
So next hot topic is Country Green. Obviously, a lot of people were promised a park 10 years ago. It doesn't only seem like the one on Nisbet. A lot of people, are there no repercussions for builders if they don't actually build something? Like if they put in an extra street or 10 extra homes, there'd probably be big fines. Is there any repercussions that the builder can face for not putting in a park?
It's a great question, and I thank you, because this has been a particularly frustrating one for myself and for my staff, quite frankly. In terms of what a builder should build, when they should build it, etc., this particular subdivision, along with all of the subdivisions in Waterdown, actually went through an OMB process. And so the decision on what was going to happen on that development, how many homes they were going to build, what streets they were going to build, all of the particulars around that development were actually finalized through the Ontario Municipal Board process. So it was a hearing judge that approved it. The city did not approve it. But then it is up to the lawyers between the city and between the developer, whoever it is, to work things out and to come to an agreement before they can start building. That has happened. That happened a long time ago. And if you want to know, so to answer your first question, can the city direct them to build at any given time? No, we can't. It's private property. As long as they have an approved site plan, you know, what happened at the empty piece of land on Parkside, I think between Sadie Lou and Wimberley, I may be getting mixed up there, but there's an empty piece of property up there where the developer was supposed to build, and half of the park would be built in their subdivision and half of the park would be built in the other subdivision, which is existing. So that developer decided in that one portion, I'm not going to build there. I'm going to build in Vaughan, Markham, wherever they decided to go to. City has no say in that. There is no timeline or set timeline. What I will say is I know they point the finger at the city and say the city is holding it up. And the city, I will tell you, we are not holding it up because all of those approvals were already done. All you have to do is look at the east end of Waterdown. In the Mattamy subdivision, there's a beautiful park. The homes are built. The streets are paved. The sidewalks are looked after. Traffic is horrendous. That's a whole other issue. Look at Mountain View across the road. You have the same thing. You have a beautiful park, Agro Park, which has been built. Skinner Park is behind schedule, right beside the school. They promised me it would be built this year. It now looks like it's gone out for tender. The tender's been awarded and they are supposed to start within the next couple of weeks. I'm not holding my breath on that. My point is the developers who deliver what they promise to the people who purchase their homes have by and large fulfilled those promises. So when you have a developer that promises you something when you buy a residence and has promised for 8 years that they are going to build a park and it hasn't been built, who do you think is making that decision? It's not the city, it is the developer. So again, I say, put the pressure on the developer. There's nothing I can do, there's nothing staff can do. And all I can say is I feel for you, and I'm not happy with this developer. I would have a whole 5-minute worth of words that I could use to describe how I feel about this particular developer.
Are you building anything more in Waterdown? Can you not kind of stop to that? Like, hey, you promised and you're not fulfilling your promise. So guess what? You don't get to, or is that a provincial?
The city has no say, Sean. Once everything has been approved by the Ontario Municipal Board, because, you know, we tried to stop these subdivisions for a variety of reasons, and the board voted against the city and said, yes, developer, you can build whatever you want whenever you want. So if you bought a house from this developer or any developer and you're not happy, go to the developer. It's unfortunately sad, but true.
Okay. So just keep
Okay.
calling them, keep.
I wish I had a different answer, but it's not our issue. It is really not our issue. It is the people who live there are suffering because they have been promised something that is not being delivered. And I feel really bad for that.
Are they building anything more Country Green in Waterdown?
Well, they're building that section of the bypass, which again, they said they were going to build. And then, at one point they weren't sure if they were going to build it. And now it looks like the bulldozers are moving dirt again. We have been encouraging them to finish that connection to Center Road of that bypass section, and then please build the park. They can't build the park until that road is built. So I'm hoping that was supposed to be open by November, is not going to be open by November, but I'm hoping that they will find a way in their hearts, if nothing else, to get that park built. Because it's not the city that's holding things up. It really isn't.
Let's get to some other issues. Graffiti in Waterdown, Flamborough, is that on the rise right now?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you mentioned that. So we've had 2 instances where there's been swastikas or KKK, and unacceptable terms, absolutely unacceptable visuals, terminology. If you come across any kind of a graffiti that would be deemed to be racist or hate related, and both of those would be, please call the police non-emergency line. Let my office know. We will get staff out right away and it will be reported to the police, because these are serious issues. Now, we've only had 2, and there was one other over in Greensville. I believe just last week there was another instance, but please report it. And in terms of anything that happens in our community, one of the biggest challenges that our police have is people are not reporting things. Even if they have an altercation with somebody who they don't know, who is not from their neighborhood. I'm talking to people and they're saying, oh, I don't want to bother the police with that. Tell them, because if something happens, they don't know unless somebody tells them and reports it. So if 10 cars get broken into and only 1 reports, and the rest of them say, well, they really didn't take anything, or I just had a loony and some quarters that got taken, I'm not going to bother. Well, then the police only know that 1 car was broken into. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to establish patterns of behavior and patterns of violence or criminology or vandalism within a community. So please, folks, please report this stuff. And what else we got?
Secondary plan. When will it be official? When will it be approved? When will it be coming? I don't know, coming to an end will be the right term, but when do we know what the core will look like and potentially look like?
So thank you for raising that. At this point, we have been, staff have been 8 months working on the secondary plan. And just as a refresher, it is for the core area of Waterdown, from Hamilton Street to Parkside Drive to Mill Street to Dundas and to the escarpment. We are hoping to have it all finalized by June, when it will be before the Planning Committee and before Council for approval. There is a public meeting coming up. We've had 1 public meeting already. That was last October, I believe. And so we're having a virtual public meeting, and it will be October the 15th. Mark it down, please, everybody. October the 15th, and it'll be from 7 until 8:30. You can go to the hamilton.ca Waterdown Node website to get your information. I will have it in e-news. And folks, if you haven't signed up for my e-news, please go to my website, judipartridge.ca, Judy with an I, and sign up, because all of these community engagement, and we've got a lot of them coming up, they're all going to be in my e-news, as all my meetings have been for years now. And you will be able to participate, and I encourage you to participate. It's very, very important that everyone who's in the core of Waterdown has a say in what buildings, developments, what it looks like going forward. So thank you, Sean. I appreciate you raising that.
And then what else do we have? Let's see. construction on Braehy, Fern Avenue, Cedar Street, kind of the road
Yes.
construction there, that's been going on for a while.
Well, it seems like it has, but it actually hasn't.
I guess if you live there, it has.
They had the sidewalks in on Friday and Saturday this weekend. I noticed that the sidewalks were done. So they're going to be paving within the next couple of weeks. And then they'll be back up to Parkside to finish that stretch of Parkside East from Main Street heading over to, I believe, Victoria. They're going to put resurfacing there, so it's in much better, because it's in terrible condition right now. So that will be Braehy, which is totally done. And there are speed humps coming to Braehy, which should be in the next, I think 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks, I think. So Fern and Cedar are being repaved and new sidewalks where appropriate. And then on Parkside, heading east from Main Street north, there will be the repaving, resurfacing, and sidewalks are being repaired. And also there's some new infrastructure in the ground going in, which should all be done. So it's a great project. It's taken 3 years to get it on the books, but residents seem to be very happy. And I think we'll be even happier when it's all done.
What about ATVs? I have on the list here. Should that be separate from street racing? ATVs, that obviously different areas, but a lot of people commented online too about an increase in street racing, drag racing, but then another vehicle will tie it into ATVs.
So I'll start with the ATVs, because that is very much an ongoing concern. What do you do? It's very aggravating. In terms of calling the police, we do have only 2 officers that are trained to ride on ATVs and to go after those who are riding ATVs. And so they have been up in our community quite often and riding on the trails back in the woods. They have caught a few of them and taken them home to their parents and been berated for doing so, but they're keeping a close watch. Now, if they've been charged, again, they don't share that information with any councillors or anyone at City Hall. The street racing is very worrisome. Street racing and drag racing, there is a difference there. And when we're talking about street racing, what we're talking about is similar to the situation that happened in downtown Hamilton on Main Street East, where unfortunately that lovely young woman was killed when she was backing out of that driveway. Those folks were going over 140. They were racing each other, and it was for several blocks at a time. I don't know if that's the definition of drag racing or street racing. I would think street racing, but again, I don't know the clear definition. The drag racing, which I'm going to use that definition for those who are racing each other on Parkside Drive, maybe they're going for a couple of blocks. They're spinning around the McDonald's, the plaza there at the corner of Parkside and Hamilton. And I will tell you that the owners of the McDonald's and of some of the other restaurants in there have been very, very concerned. And we have been working with them. We've had a few meetings with Condor, who owns the plaza. And again, that plaza is private property, but the owners of the property have given permission to the police in writing. They do have that written letter, which we were able to get done about 5 or 6 years ago. So the police can go on site and they can charge those and they can arrest them. I know that has calmed down a bit in the last little while. But again, once everybody gets back to school, it seemed to be worse in August. The last week or so, I think it's calmed down. But, again, if it happens, please call the police, send me an email. We can action it to our crime manager right away. If they know it's happening, they can do something about it. If they don't know it's happening, they can't do anything about it. Okay, I hope that answers the questions.
A couple minutes left. We'll talk about the pick your own apples doesn't have to be restricted to the guidelines with what's going on with COVID, as well as Chili Fest, Flamborough Chili Fest. Let's talk.
I want to talk about the pick your own farms, because there has been concerns from some residents who have contacted our office. about whether or not they're legal. Can they operate during COVID? And yes, they're an essential business. You know, we have to help our farmers as much as we can. Now, we did have one incident at a pick your own apple farm where there were a couple of hundred people who were there. There was no mask, there was no distancing, there were no protocols put into place. The farms still have to follow all the provincial protocols, as we are all directed by the province. That wasn't happening. So they did get a visit from bylaw, and right away they did put the protocols in place. So folks, they are safe. When you go to a pick your own though, or any kind of a farm place, make sure that they've got the protocols in place, because if they don't, then it's up to you whether you stay or not. But please wear your mask, make sure you're sanitized, and stay 2 meters apart from each other, and enjoy this glorious weather that we've got and the apples. You also mentioned Chili Fest. Now, as many in the community know, Chili Fest is an annual fundraising event to support the Flamborough Women's Resource Centre, and located on Mill Street in Waterdown, and it is the only rural outreach service helping women and their families in either domestic violence situation or family crisis. So it is really important that we support them. In the past, we've had Chili Fest at the Legion. You've been able to come in. We've had 10 or 12 restaurants providing their chili. This year with COVID, we're doing it a little bit differently. And I'm absolutely thrilled to say that we've had 11 restaurants that we've contacted who have come forward and said yes. On October 23rd and 24th weekend, they will be offering chili, their own special chilies, for sale in their restaurants, on their patios, and the proceeds will be coming to the Flamborough Women's Resource Centre. We're going to be doing videos. We're going to be helping to promote all of these restaurants. I also want to mention that Cogeco is back on as a key sponsor this year. We thank them so very much. We could not do this without the help of all the community. We're not looking to raise the $20,000 that we've raised in the past, although that would be absolutely a blessing if we did. But please participate, give what you can, and we just feel so blessed being in this community. Everybody's supporting everybody. So thank you, Sean. It's wonderful.
I didn't ask you this time about the extension of Clapison's Drive, the Center Road and Dundas Street. So it's nice to ask you about some new things going on too.
Well, we have to wait. You know, the corridor, Clapison Drive. It's again up to the developer. They have to register their plan of subdivision where Stryker is for all of that property in there. The road is built. The road is ready to open. We are ready to, say yes. The MTO has to do a final inspection. The MOE is I think ready to sign off. So, we all want to get it open. But again, the site plans for all of these developments are very important, and you can't just rubber stamp everything. You have to make sure that all the species at risk are protected and that all the protocols are in place and it's been done properly. So I know you didn't ask me, but I did have someone email me this week and ask me about when's Clapison Drive going to be open? You told us a year ago, you're telling us. Yes, I know, and I feel badly because they're construction sites. And when I hear from the developers and from staff, we're going to be opening in a certain month, I want to share that with you. But other than that, we will continue to post as much information as we can to share with everyone. Veronica in my office looks after Facebook and all the postings and Twitter. And so, if I don't comment on Facebook, and I think someone did mention, well, why does she bother posting anything if she's not going to comment on it? Well, I want to inform the community. I want you folks to know what's going on. And, Veronica, that's part of her role, is to make sure that communication is kept up on a regular basis. So the majority of the people absolutely do love having those posts on Facebook. I thank you for all your kind comments, which I get on a regular basis. And so I think we've covered just about everything.
I think that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thank you. And all the best to Paisley. And I hope everything's working out being back at school for all the young ones and for their parents. And everybody, please keep safe and be well. God bless.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.